The following takes place on a Saturday in December, the day before Christmas. Events occur in real time.
Happy holidays, Kryptonians. Welcome to another review of 24. This time we're tackling Season 6. Again, that is a mild spoiler disclaimer. I'm not going to get into too many specifics, but there are some things that might be deemed a spoiler if you haven't seen the show. Fair warning, you have been warned. Let's talk about Season 6 of 24, which in my opinion is the most disappointing season that 24 has ever had. I will say this though, this season had a lot of potential and it had a lot of really interesting directions that they tried to go in. Did they handle all those directions smoothly? No, not at all. The execution in the season, very subpar compared to previous ones. So Season 6 takes place almost 2 years after Season 5. If you guys remember how Season 5 ended, Jack was captured by the Chinese, beaten half to death, and dragged to Shanghai where he's going to be tortured for the foreseeable future. President Logan went away to prison. It's kind of a happy day for everybody except for Jack. We catch up almost 2 years later and Jack has been through it. This dude looks like a nomad caveman. Dude's been tortured psychologically and physically for almost 2 years. He is a messed up individual. He is brought back to the States as part of some kind of deal between the president's administration and a terrorist named Abu Fayed, who is the big bad of this season. Abu Fayed has been orchestrating a series of attacks in America in the months leading up to this season. As a result, a deal is struck and Jack is sent to him, but it turns out that Abu Fayed is the bad guy in this season. He is setting CTU and the president's administration up to try to go after this Assad guy. This Assad guy was a terrorist for 20 years and now he's not, and now he's trying to stop Fayed from carrying out his attacks. So Jack basically vampires a dude and escapes, and he helps Assad, and that's kind of how he gets dragged back into the thick of things. And Abu Fayed and the big terrorist threat, what is it? You guessed it. Nuclear bombs. Wayne Palmer is the president now. That's right. David Palmer's little brother is now the man in the Oval Office. That's a really interesting direction they could have gone with that. His chief of staff, Tom Lennox, is interesting. Karen Hayes, who is the national security advisor to the president, she's on the team too, and her back and forth with Tom Lennox, that's one of the best things about this season. Unfortunately, it also should remind 24 fans of previous stories used in previous seasons past too. For every great moment this season has, there is a bad moment to offset it, like at the end of the first 4 episodes. The end of the first 4 episodes, there's a terrorist attack that happens and it's a big, epic, sad moment. The music is good. Jack looks like somebody just sliced off his dick. I mean, it's a pretty bad situation for everybody all around. But that is almost completely overshadowed by the fact that they completely mishandled the death of a fan favorite character. And by fan favorite character, I of course am talking about Curtis Manning. Yeah, Curtis Manning dies at the end of the first 4 episodes. I'm not going to spoil exactly why he dies or how it happens. Suffice to say, it's kind of dumb and it's kind of out of character for him to do the things that led up to his death. I'm just going to say that. The problem with Curtis's death is that it feels so rushed, so quick, and it's just processed too quickly, and we're not given a chance to really grieve. He's a big time character. He's played a big supporting role the last few years. I feel like he should have had a better death. I feel like he should have had more care given to him for his death. Curtis didn't even get a silent clock. He didn't get a silent clock, and for a character that important, I kind of figured he would. I'm not going to be that guy who tries to make everything about race. Trust me, that's not what I'm doing. Although, goddamn, the black guy can't get a goddamn silent clock? Fuck's going on with y'all? Seriously? Oh, everybody else can get a silent clock, but not Curtis, huh? Racist. I'm kidding. It's not about that. It's not about that at all. I just wish that they had handled Curtis's death a little bit better, and that was one of the sore points for me in this season. So at this point in 24, we pretty much know what we're gonna get. Awesome music, split screen action, political intrigue and drama inside the government, Jack being a babar and kicking ass, terrorist plot that is in some way a tweak or some kind of difference between the terrorist plots of the previous seasons, Chloe and her techno wizardry. I mean, we pretty much know what we're getting with 24. Also, for some reason, people having CTU on speed dial, that's a thing at this point in the show. And the Jack sacks. It's pretty clear that at this point 24 has a formula that works, but this is really the first season where some of that formula came off as really tired. They started recycling very specific plot points from previous seasons. It told me that the writers were starting to run out of ideas in this season. And I'll be honest, I wasn't really invested in Wayne Palmer as a character. Part of it is that he's doing a very poor man's imitation of David Palmer, and he's just not David Palmer. And I know it's not necessarily fair to Wayne, but the real important thing is that he's not even the most fascinating character in his administration. Yeah, Tom Lennox is. Tom Lennox and Karen Hayes, those are the two characters I gravitated towards the most. Not to mention his storyline is really the same as David Palmer's storyline from season 2. You got people questioning Wayne Palmer's strength and his resolve and him being a leader. You got his foreign policies and his policies on national security being challenged by everybody. You have people conspiring behind his back to try to bring him down. I mean, it's virtually the same exact thing. You even have people arguing and fighting around him as the loyalists and the traitors thin out the herd. You even have the same old Bill Buchanan as at CTU, and then he has to get fired and let go because, reasons. Which is the exact same thing they did in season 5, so I really don't get why they decided to go this route. They start recycling a lot of shit. In fact, look at the main terrorist threat with Abu Fayyad. It's a nuclear bomb threat. We had a nuclear bomb threat in season 2. Granted, in season 2 it was 1 bomb, and in this season Abu Fayyad is in possession of 4 suitcase nukes or something. But still, the basic premise of the threat is the same. If you go season by season by season, the threats change and vary per season. And even if they're similar, there are little tweaks and little changes in the formatting of the season to make it all feel fresh every year. Also, the characters at CTU. I wasn't as invested in the characters of CTU in this season. I mean, you've got Milo, who had a cameo or had a small role in season 1. He's back in this season. Milo in this season is really only defined by his attraction to Nadia. Nadia is this really hot Muslim CTU tactician leader, and she is boring as hell. And because Milo is only defined by his relationship with Nadia and his wanting to get in Nadia's pants the entire season, he's boring as hell too. Then we have Morris, who was Chloe's ex-husband, but now they're boyfriend and girlfriend again, and now he's back in the office. Morris is a really fun character. But I'm not gonna lie, there are certain parts of the season where he comes off as a whiny bitch. Also, there are like multiple love triangles and forced drama going on at CTU, and it's just kind of jarring, honestly. So many other missed opportunities, like the fact that a little ways into the season, due to some problems with Russians and Jack trying to investigate the Russians and their connection to this terrorist threat with Abu Fayyad, he has to enlist the help of Charles Logan. That's right, Charles Logan comes back. Charles Logan, one of those characters that I love to hate. You guys remember Charles Logan. Except in this season, they try to make him like a born-again Christian or some shit, and it just kind of saps his character of everything that I love to hate about his character. I mean, I love him as a sniveling, slimy, two-faced, bitch-made coward. I love him as that. I don't want him to be some kind of, well, I am redemption, hear me roar kind of character. Not to mention, his character comes in for a few episodes, something really dangerous and tragic happens to him, and then that's it. We don't hear or see him ever again in the rest of the season. He's not even referenced. Just missed opportunities. Not to mention the fact that this season they also tried to get things a little bit more personal with Jack. They tried to get into his backstory. They tried to get into his family. His father and his brother are introduced into the season. While some of that makes for some really compelling drama and a really intense torture scene with Jack and his brother early on in the season that you have to see to believe. At the same time, it does feel like it kind of goes to waste and it doesn't really go anywhere interesting. There is a really brutal, excellent action sequence where Jack, being the babar that he is, wipes out an entire building of terrorists and has a brutal, relentless, exhausting fight with Abu Fayyad to the death, and it is really awesome shit. But then right after that, we get swept up into this whole other plot with the Chinese and Jack's dad that not only feels rushed, parts of it also don't even really make a lot of sense. It's just weird. The season had a lot of potential. It had a lot of great ideas. I just think the execution of said ideas wasn't that best. The story started to feel a little bit more rehashed. The characters aren't as interesting or compelling. Certain elements of the story work and certain elements of the story don't work. So many missed opportunities with different characters and missed opportunities in terms of how they mishandled certain characters in certain directions. The season does come off as tired, and honestly, I feel like this is the most disappointing season. Relatively speaking, I mean, a bad season of 24 is still better than most of the other TV shows out there. I'm just saying, the season should have and could have been a lot better. Overall, guys, I can't go higher than A Fortress of Solitude. This is a very average season, in my opinion. Well, at least there's no Kim. At least there's that. So that is my review of Season 6 of 24. Let me know if you guys agree that this is the most disappointing season. As always, if you like what you see, tell me how you feel, and stay tuned to hear more from the Man of Steel. Peace.
Your president has paid a great price for Mr. Bauer's freedom. What you want from him must be very important.
The things that they're talking about doing, this country will never recover.
Do you understand the difference between dying for something and dying for nothing? Today,